Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The recent conclusion of a high-level training course on trade and services in Geneva for governments in the process of acceding to the World Trade Organization, WTO, is not just another bureaucratic event or a routine step in international economic cooperation. For those following the trajectory of Iraq's economic and political reintegration into the global system, this development is deeply symbolic and highly consequential. Iraq's participation in this event, and the language used in official coverage that subtly but clearly includes Iraq as one of the acceding governments, has added fuel to the growing belief that Iraq has, in fact, completed all substantive requirements to join the WTO. This is not merely speculative, it is anchored in years of reform, policy modernization, legal alignment, and institutional restructuring designed to meet WTO standards. The importance of Iraq's accession process lies not only in the legal or procedural frameworks being satisfied, but also in what it signals to the international community, a shift from a post-conflict recovery mode to a new era of proactive global engagement. Iraq's journey toward WTO accession began in 2004, and over the years it has faced multiple setbacks, including political instability, insurgencies, administrative corruption, and foreign interference. Despite these challenges, the Iraqi government, with support from international partners including the United States, the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund, has steadily advanced reforms across sectors. These include revamping its financial institutions, adopting international accounting standards, modernizing customs procedures, liberalizing certain markets, and enhancing transparency in trade policies. These are not small or symbolic actions. They are fundamental restructuring efforts that go to the heart of WTO membership obligations. In the midst of these developments, another crucial narrative has re-emerged in the Iraqi and regional media landscape: the call for the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. On Monday of this same week, several news articles began circulating within both Arabic language and translated Western financial news networks, discussing the possibility, and in some cases the necessity, of revaluing the national currency. These aren't fringe rumors or mere speculation. These are serious policy discussions happening in formal media spaces, attributed to former finance officials, economists, and think tanks with credibility in Iraqi political discourse. The recurrence of this conversation, always just below the surface but increasingly visible whenever Iraq hits a milestone in reform, suggests a careful orchestration of information. In other words, the media isn't driving the conversation alone. It is likely being fed by signals from within the government or Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, subtly preparing the public and the markets for what may be a dramatic monetary policy shift. The revaluation of a currency is never a simple move. It involves recalibrating the exchange rate to reflect either a country's real purchasing power, its relative strength in global trade, or its newfound monetary stability. In Iraq's case, all three are increasingly in play. The country's foreign reserves are strong, its gold holdings are increasing, and its trade relations, particularly oil exports, are on solid ground. More importantly, Iraq has been working diligently to de-dollarize its economy, including by introducing digital payment systems, enforcing new regulations to restrict black market currency trading, and encouraging the use of the Iraqi dinar in both public and private transactions. These measures are not mere technical adjustments. They represent a strategic move toward monetary sovereignty. Consider, too, how these developments fit into the larger narrative of Iraq's post-war recovery and regional re-emergence. For years, Iraq has been seen largely through the lens of conflict, corruption, and chaos. Yet in recent years, there has been a subtle but profound shift in how both domestic institutions and international observers talk about Iraq. No longer merely a zone of crisis management, Iraq is increasingly viewed as a site of opportunity, geopolitically, economically, and even financially. Global financial institutions are opening dialogues, international investors are cautiously optimistic, and trade flows are stabilizing. Iraq's digital infrastructure is improving, and the central government is beginning to assert more control over its fragmented provinces, particularly in terms of budgetary discipline and resource sharing. In this context, the dinar becomes more than just a unit of currency. It becomes a symbol of national identity, economic legitimacy, and regional integration. A revalued dinar would serve multiple purposes. It would restore domestic purchasing power, boost confidence in the banking system, reduce dependency on the dollar, and enhance Iraq's credibility in global markets. Furthermore, for a government navigating complex internal politics, a currency revaluation aligned with WTO accession and supported by Arab partners would be a powerful political win. It would mark a break from the past and a concrete step toward a new economic era. To be clear, revaluations don't solve all problems. Iraq still faces many structural issues, including high unemployment, weak industrial diversification, and ongoing political gridlock. But the ability to revalue the currency in the context of WTO accession and regional cooperation would represent a strategic shift in how Iraq chooses to manage its economic future. It would be a declaration that Iraq is ready to play by global rules and participate in global markets not as a burdened country seeking aid, but as a sovereign state asserting its financial autonomy. The growing alignment of these events, training for WTO accession, Arab summits focused on trade, and calls for revaluation, suggests that Iraq is no longer content to be a passive recipient of international norms. Instead, it is stepping forward to actively shape its role in a rapidly transforming regional and global order. For those closely watching these developments, these are not isolated signals but pieces of a much larger puzzle that seems to be falling into place. The fact that all of this is surfacing in the same time window is no coincidence. It reflects deliberate planning, synchronized messaging, and a readiness to act. Whether the revaluation happens in days, weeks, or even months, the momentum is clearly building. And it is precisely this momentum, anchored in concrete institutional reform and international cooperation, that makes the current moment feel not only significant but potentially transformative for Iraq, its people, and the value of its national currency. Thanks for tuning in to Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed and stay ready.